do we navigate our new truths in a way where we can process and integrate these information sources and find joy, authenticity, community, and expansion in our experience, as opposed to feeling isolated, shut down, scared, and lost? Hi everybody, my name is Chloe Hudson and welcome to World Peace Projects. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I would like to talk a bit about the experience of the integration process and the dissolving of the cognitive dissonance as we open up into more truth. Now, many of you know that have been following my channel that my truths and my belief systems have radically shifted in the recent several months, as I trust that many of y'all's has too, whether it be on your own accord or because this channel has instigated new truths for you that you may resonate with. And all of us have experienced our own levels through the truthing process and the awakening process at whatever time that might have been in our lives, and currently the 5 stages of grief that can come into this, okay? And in no particular order necessarily. We've got the bargaining, we've got depression, we've got acceptance, we've got resistance, we've got denial, we've got anger. And this experience, many of you have reached out and let me know, is that you're confused. You don't know how to access your joy with these new truths. There was a mass level of betrayal. There's this surreal experience of what's real and what's not. And, you know, I have recently just had an experience where talking to a dear friend and a colleague who, this woman is fabulous and she has assisted me so much in both my business endeavors. She's been a mentor to me and she still is a mentor from a business standpoint, and she's opened up a community that she has created to, you know, offer me abundance through her community, offering my level of expertise. Now, my level of expertise has radically shifted, as many of you know, and a lot of her community is now very concerned because they have different views. You know, their level of comfort and support is very much within the realm of the angels and the guidance, and a lot of the things that many of you know, my views have been shifting. So, you know, when we come into this space of awareness, it can be really a harsh reality at times, because while perspectives are up to the perceiver, you know, when we move into the truth experience, very quickly people and experiences and support systems can start to misalign, because the path gets seemingly more narrow and narrow at a certain point when it comes to revealments and exposing information. And the way in which we navigate this path is often very precarious, and we need to take care. It can be very easy at this point to see that it may feel more comfortable and safer to withdraw from the dark and narrow, precarious path ahead and go back to the warm comfort, support, and safety of what has been known, what is tried and true. And for many, that may be what is best, what is in alignment with what supports them at this time. Though for some of us that feel that that experience would lead us astray from our higher truth and our authenticity, we have to then find the bravery and the courage and the trust to let go of what we have known before and move forward. And not only doing that as a warrior or a survivor, but doing that in a way where this precarious path is a challenge that's exciting. how do we find the adventure and the fun and the play in this again? All of us are shifting into a space where we're accessing more of our authentic internal spirit and truth. And this internal knowing and source prime creator essence that is the basis of what we are. It is our root origins, could be and seemingly would be the most natural and normal and easily accessible experience that one would have. After all, it's our truth. It is what we are. It's our base core essence. Though, because of the design of this reality, it's often the most difficult experience and knowing to access and have and be tapped into with self. And a lot of us through this truthing path have believed that we had access to our authentic internal source energy, only to find that as we poke holes in more understandings and perspectives and belief systems, that what we thought was our internal core truth was more illusory beliefs. And so we had to peel that away. And then we get back into that space where we feel confused and conflicted. We're not sure how to perceive maybe our internal compass and also the external world through an authentic lens of joy and happiness and feeling connected. And as these paths start to shift and our old ways of beliefs and thinking and different frequencies start to drop away, there can be many frames of reference which look like one is being isolated, one is being ostracized, that everything is closing down and shutting out. And I'm going to invite all of you, if you're having that experience in any shape or form, no matter if it's relationships, if it's business endeavors, if it's with yourself, if it's just the way in which you are trying to now relate to your reality again, or find a place where you feel in harmony and content in your being and can access this lighthearted joy that maybe seemingly went out the door if you had new realities and awareness around, the false white light. Well, ultimately, that's your core nature. The light-hearted, spirit-aligned, high vibration frequency. It's your truth. You're playful, you're adventurous, you're a powerful being, you're bright, brilliant light, you're unified, you are the all that is and you are the nothingness. Your experience encompasses all. So understanding that that is the authentic base core foundation of your existence, of your origins, means that there is always access to it. Now, it's your challenge, it's my challenge, it's our challenge to be able to find the way in which we access it, the myriad of ways in each now moment. And when we're still looking through the lens of the matrix, that lens will seemingly shut down and look desolate. It will look like mayhem. It will look like isolation. It can feel that way because that's the design. The inverse matrix is designed in a way where when you start seeking truth that expand beyond the matrix, that reality, it is very strategic in giving you perspectives and experiences and feelings through and through from the soul overlay, from the emotional and mental, psychological overlay, sexual overlay, that's a no-go. That's a precarious, dangerous territory that leads to suppression, it leads to isolation, it leads to loneliness, it leads to scarcity. And that's when we must tap in more and more to our truth to know, you know what? My internal core essence of all that I am is joyful, it's lighthearted, it's transparency, it's authenticity, it's being able to see through the different densities and layers and realities in choosing and picking which one I want to align with and which one I choose, no matter what might be coming in to my experience or I might be feeling in this moment. Because all of that can simply be a byproduct of me interfacing with the inverse matrix. Though regardless of this experience that I still have to deal with and navigate, I have creator source access to aligning with and choosing what it is that I prefer to experience. And knowing that through that choice, I access it, and then it's my responsibility to command it so and birth it into my reality. I still have to navigate the layers of the matrix in which I bring that into my experience, or I create it from within enough where it appears as matter in my space or in my being as a feeling or whatever it might be that you're going after. Last night I rewatched the movie The Matrix Reloaded, and that movie has some really interesting revealments. Some of the things I want to focus on is towards the end of the movie, and spoiler alert if none of you have, if there's some of you who haven't seen it, but I'm sure many of us, all of us have seen that by now, is Neo goes to what they term source in that movie. Well, source in that movie is actually the matrix itself, right? It's like the black box. He goes in and he meets the programmer, the ultimate architect, the archons that have created, well, I shouldn't say created, but from the inside have created the layout of the matrix. And he learns that source is simply programming that has been recycling and recycling over and over as they're stuck in that karmic loop. And the architect tells Neo that basically his design, the reason for his biological existence, is simply to recycle his prime DNA codes, deposit it back into Zion to rebirth a new population once that population has been destroyed. And he's the sixth one to have that experience. Now, he also finds out that the Oracle is a program where, while Morpheus believes so thoroughly in the Oracle and the prophecy is true, he's devastated with the realization that the Oracle, the false white light, the belief of being saved, is simply another part of the program made to manipulate and deceive and give false hope. So the standpoint of that movie looks from only the inside of the matrix. When it talks about source, it's speaking about source of the matrix. And it uses the Oracle, while she offers wisdom and guidance, as ultimately what we would term false white light and or simply another program of the matrix. The information that the Oracle offered to all of the main characters in those movies was invaluable. It served them and it supported them in a lot of ways. They got to a certain level where they outgrew that level of wisdom to see it for what it is. But that doesn't negate the value that it offered when, the information that she gave, because she ultimately has a more expansive knowledge and finger on the pulse when it comes to, choice and providence and how the realities are going to play out. So there's value in that. So those in your life that still are utilizing the value of these different programs, these different avenues of the matrix that have supported all of us in certain ways and continue to support all of us in certain ways, though also can be detrimental when you get to a certain perspective or level of awareness. So there comes the reckoning time with self and with what has been, revealed to you and those around you. When you begin to misalign with your belief systems, with people in your life, with business structures, you name it, there is a requirement in that place to move into radical acceptance. There's a requirement in the space of accessing a new level of the dark night of the soul to move into radical acceptance. And hopefully, many of you have cultivated a very intimate relationship with trust at this point. And if you have not, I would highly, highly suggest that you begin to work more thoroughly with your relationship with trust, because trust is so deeply important and profound in these times for revealing more truths and becoming more awake to things that don't look very pretty, and that drop structures away that were so supportive when especially we're navigating that place where we can't necessarily see the other structures that are in place, or the way in which we enjoyed and engaged with the world and the face that we showed the world and the way that we internalized and experienced it while was lighthearted and happy now doesn't feel as authentic to us, though it's in there. You're revealing it, you're accessing it, you're learning how to expose it. And this is good. This is enriching. It's uncomfortable, as truth often is. And it's a requirement. Now, what is not a requirement is for one to go off on a skeptical tangent, for one to get paranoid, for one to go into mass devastation or anger, blame at other people or self or the matrix itself. We still have to take responsibility for the experience that we're creating and having while we're revealing more of it to ourselves. We're allowed to feel a little bit sad or lose our path of contentment or move into a space where it seems like abundance is being choked out in whatever form that might be. Though if we want to be wise and navigate this path to the best of our ability, it's best to hold trust. Because after all, you could have the space that is unwavering, that you are Creator's source. And even if you don't know that you're Creator's source, you have been given the born right to find out how to experience that, to find it. It will depend on your will to find it, right? And it also depends on, no matter whatever path that you're choosing or wanting to experience, the way in which you're going to perceive it and approach it. Are you going to have a negative attitude or a positive attitude? Are you going to go in with gusto, or are you going to do this kind of wobbly and half-ass? Depending on how you show up in life is the way in which you're going to have that path unfold. Because it's not always the destination, right? It's not always finding that space where you know your source and you're experiencing it in totality. It's you moving through the process and the delayering and the revealment. And ironically, while this process can feel so extremely personally isolating and confusing, we're all going through it together. It's kind of like if we feel like we're in this space where we're isolated and nobody understands us because maybe the people in our immediate vicinity and experience that we've interfaced and interacted with for a long time, they don't get it. And suddenly the energy has gone really wonky and it no longer synchronizes. We still have communities in other ways, because all of us, it's like we're rolling around as little marbles in our bubble. We're bumping into each other, but we're in our bubble, so we don't really connect. We can let go and feel safe to be vulnerable, to be received, without having to go into panic or frazzle or anger or whatever it is, okay? And it's okay to misalign. with people and experiences in your life. It helps to access the trust and the knowing that if you have cultivated a level of self-worth, no matter what presents, what might be tumultuous or tedious, or whatever veil you move out of the way and start to expose, some ugly truths or ugly paradigms or realities of the matrix, that you love self enough to know, if I'm creator source, I can manifest whatever it is that I desire, and I deserve to manifest what it is that I desire, and I trust that what it is I desire is heart aligned. Therefore, I can magnetize it to myself that much more rapidly. I can bring it into my experience, and I am allowed to have experiences in the interim that are very uncomfortable and maybe shadow and dark, because after all, I live in a polarity reality. So that dark gives me the clear understanding of how much I value and love the light, the expansiveness, the freedom, and the authentic light, the truth. And while shadow work can be really devastating at times, I have a responsibility to clear out my subconscious, because I know that I deserve and desire truth, ultimate freedom, empowerment, where I can remember through and through that I am much more grand than this suppression compression matrix. And if anybody in my experience is not on the same path, I honor that and I allow that, because that is part of the beauty of a myriad of different realities and experiences and allowances and choices. And I may need to humble myself out enough to start to see, am I getting too self-righteous in my truth movement? Do I need to step back and humble? Do I need to misalign with this path, or do I need to reframe my perspective, because maybe it's not all devastation and tumultuousness. Maybe I'm just taking on a pessimistic lens. It's really easy in this experience to start to snowball in whatever way that is. That's a part of the process. There's a fabulous video out right now from probably Alexandra of the 5 stages of deprogramming. I highly advise that you watch it, because one stage that she reveals is we get so passionate about offering our truths when we haven't fully integrated it that it gets immediately rejected and resistance comes up, and people start reflecting the fear in which has come up initially when we started to learn it. So with this understanding, I would like to ask you guys, because, in hindsight, I would actually probably go back to the initial channeling that I offered of when I learned about the archangels, and then the subsequent video about the archangels, and I would shift the way in which I presented that, because there were a few videos within that timeline where I was moving through this initial period of integration, and therefore the way in which I presented it was really passionate, was really charged, was quite skeptical. And I think that there is a responsibility, and I'm really grappling with this, so I'd love y'all's feedback on this, of, if I'm showing up to deem myself not only a peer to all of you, right? We're all on this journey together, but in some ways a teacher. I like to think of myself as a teacher, to offer information that possibly you aren't privy to yet, or expand on your perspective of what you already know. And I have a responsibility to show up in a way where I can offer comfort and support in a place for you to access trust, while I'm also presenting hard truths, or at least my perspective of truth, right? Information that is jolting, that's shattering, that is going to sway and rock us. In that same movie, The Matrix Reloaded, Morpheus makes a decision to present to the people of Zion the truth of what's actually happening. He decides that it's best to inform the populace that they're under attack, that very soon they're going to come face to face with the machines. And he does this in a way where he says, but you know what? While that truth might be hard to accept, we've been doing this for 100 years. We've not lost to them yet. We're still here and we're powerful, and we can face it and hold on to how important and powerful our community is. So he presented it in a way where it was like truth and empowering. There was the calm and the trust in that presentation. And I think in a lot of ways I've failed to offer you guys that. So I want to apologize to those of you who received that information without the necessary space and place of how to process it. And I know that as this journey continues for me, I will continue to receive more awareness and information that I will then need to integrate. So my biggest question to you all is, and I'll do this anyway because I do see a lot of value in that, though I also see how important it is to offer experiences in real time as it's theming out, right? A lot of this stuff we know comes in waves where the masses all are playing off of a specific theme and revealment. Do you feel that you would rather have the presenter of the information, in this case me, maybe not fully, but as much as possible, integrate the information enough in order to present it with many different ways in which it could be received, and a lot of possible solutions or ways in which to navigate it? And or would you rather just get the information, even if it comes out a little bit erratic and skeptical and upset or whatever, because it's just this new truth, kind of like newsflash, this is what's happening, haven't had time to process, but here it is. Because in real time that can be important too, and I'm always going to cushion it from now on. I always will, though I'd like to hear your perspective on it, because this has really shaken a lot of people, more than I am aware of still, and more than I expected. And I know through and through that it's going to continue to shake people awake. That's where we're at right now. We're at a place where we're past go time, as we've been talking about, and it's time to get moving, to get acting, to get real strategic. But in order to be strategic and on point, we have to be clear-headed. We have to be able to strategize in the moment. And when we get so consumed with fear, if we haven't locked in something to muscle memory, often fight or flight kicks in and we can't function. So staying above board and being able to navigate in a way where it's a challenge, it might be a little scary, but also we're up for the challenge. It's a part of the adventure. It's a part of the excitement. That's why we're here. And we have so much trust in our truth that whatever gets presented, we know through and through that we are source, and ultimately we have the ability to transmute and overcome. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like, share my channel. If you would like to reach out, connect with me, receive a personal session or consciousness coaching, I would love to hear from you at worldpeaceprojects.global. I will be putting up a live 5-week course that's going to be offered. It's called Advanced Matrix Decoding. It's going to start at the end of Feb. If you would like to join that course, please feel free to sign up. There's going to be limited spaces, and that course will also be turned into an e-course where you could purchase that on my website as well. I hope you have a wonderful week, guys. Bye-bye.